and welcome back for another deep dive with us. You know how much we love to take something ordinary and really dissect it?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're doing today with something you see literally every time you go to the grocery store.
Oh, yeah. Every single trip.
Seedless fruits and vegetables.
That's right.
We've got some really interesting articles and studies here covering everything from the health benefits of seeds
Right.
to the science behind how seedless produce is even made.
How does that even happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll even touch on GMOs a bit.
Always an interesting conversation.
Oh, for sure. And the thing that kind of blew my mind
Okay.
was reading about a global seed vault.
Oh, wow.
How important
Yeah.
seeds are considered to be.
Well, they're everything, right?
Right.
They're like the source of life for all these plants.
Yeah. So tell me about this vault.
It's pretty incredible, actually. It's in Norway,
Yeah.
built deep inside a mountain.
Inside a mountain.
Yeah, like a fortress for seeds. It's designed to protect a huge collection of seeds from all over the world.
Oh, wow. So it's like a backup plan.
Exactly, in case of some kind of major global crisis.
Like a doomsday vault for plants.
Exactly.
That's wild. But then, we've got this whole trend of making everything seedless.
Right.
Grapes, watermelons, cucumbers. I mean, even bananas don't have seeds anymore.
Yeah, it's true. And, I'm as guilty as anyone. I love the convenience.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much easier to just pop a grape in your mouth.
Yeah, no spitting out seeds.
Right, exactly. Have you ever wondered, though, why we even have seedless fruit?
I don't think I've given it much thought until reading this article by Josh Katelis.
Okay.
He's a clinical nutritionist, and he actually argues that by taking out the seeds, we're getting rid of, the most nutritious part of the fruit.
Really?
Yeah, he calls seeds the book of life for plants.
That's a pretty powerful image.
It is, isn't it?
It really makes you wonder if all this convenience is worth it.
Yeah. Are we sacrificing something important?
Exactly. So how do they even make seedless fruit anyway?
Well, there are actually a couple of different methods, and they're both pretty interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So we've got some info here from Purdue University and STEMI, and they explain that one way is through a process called parthenocarpy.
Parthenocarpy.
Yeah, it's a mouthful,
Mm-hmm.
but basically it means the fruit develops without fertilization.
Oh, so they skip the whole pollination thing.
Exactly, and it often happens with a little help from plant hormones.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a natural form of genetic manipulation.
Well, I wouldn't say manipulation, but yeah, it's a natural process that we've learned to control.
Okay, that makes sense. And that's how they make things like seedless cucumbers and summer squash.
Exactly.
Cool. What about the other method?
That one involves something called triploid plants.
Triploid plants.
Yeah, so instead of the usual 2 sets of chromosomes, these plants have 3.
3 sets of chromosomes. That sounds kind of sci-fi.
It does a bit, right?
Yeah.
But basically that extra set messes up the whole seed development process.
So no seeds.
No seeds. And that's how we get seedless watermelons, for example.
Huh. That's pretty amazing. And the STEMI article actually presents all of this, the parthenocarpy, the triploid plants, as positive examples of human ingenuity.
Right. They make it seem like everyone wins.
Yeah, but there's another article here from Rui Alves on Medium, and he has a different perspective.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he actually calls seedless fruits evil in disguise.
Wow. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, me too. What could possibly be wrong with seedless fruit?
I guess we're about to find out.
Exactly.
Let's dig in.
Okay, so evil in disguise, that's a strong statement.
It is, and he makes some interesting points.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, for starters, seedless fruits are often more expensive.
That's true. I've noticed that.
It kind of makes sense, though, right?
Yeah, if they're harder to produce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's the whole cloning thing.
Cloning.
Yeah, because seedless fruits can't reproduce naturally.
Right.
They have to be propagated by cloning, and that process is inefficient, and it reduces genetic diversity.
So if something happens like a disease...
Exactly. The whole crop could be wiped out.
It's like putting all your eggs in one basket, but with fruit genes.
Exactly. And on top of that, Alves suggests that seedless fruits might not be as nutritious.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he says they can have fewer vitamins, minerals, and fiber compared to the seeded varieties.
So we could be paying more for something that's less nutritious.
It's a possibility, and we can't forget about the environmental impact either.
Oh, right. Shipping all those fruits around.
Exactly. Especially if they can't be grown locally.
That makes me think about one of the other articles we have. It's from the Life magazine, and the author, Susanna Green, brings up this whole GMO concern.
Right. A lot of people worry about that.
Yeah, she even suggests that changing a fruit's DNA could somehow change our own.
It's a common fear, and it reflects a broader anxiety about the impact of GMOs on human health.
But, how would that even work?
Yeah, there's no scientific evidence to support that claim.
So it's more of a fear than a fact.
It seems that way, but it's important to acknowledge those concerns nonetheless.
Of course, we're just trying to present the information from these different sources and let people draw their own conclusions.
Exactly. But let's get back to those seed benefits for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Jitalis talking about seeds being like the book of life?
Yeah, he had some pretty amazing examples of what's actually in those tiny seeds.
Oh yeah, like grapefruit seeds having those antimicrobial properties.
I actually use grapefruit seed extract sometimes.
It's great for fighting off bacteria and fungi.
Yeah, and what about grape seeds?
They're loaded with antioxidants, which are great for your heart and blood vessels.
And Jitalis even mentions apricot seeds being used in cancer therapy.
It's important to note, though, that this is controversial and we're not recommending it.
Of course not. We're just sharing what the research says.
Right. But it does make you wonder about the potential of seeds.
It really does. If those tiny things are packed with so much good stuff, what are we losing out on when we go seedless?
It's a good question, and it makes me think about all those other seeds we usually just throw away.
Oh yeah, like pumpkin seeds and papaya seeds.
Dutelis actually mentions those being used in folk medicine to get rid of parasites.
Wow, I had no idea seeds were so powerful.
It's pretty amazing, right? And since you're interested in health, you might want to look into the benefits of specific types of seeds.
I definitely will. This is fascinating, but going back to those GMO concerns, do we even know how many of the seedless fruits we buy are actually genetically modified?
That's a good question, and unfortunately our sources don't give us a clear answer on that.
So it's kind of a mystery.
It seems that way. Susanna Green from the Life magazine seemed to imply that all seedless fruit is inherently genetically modified.
Yeah, I remember that she said if a fruit doesn't have any seeds, it's been genetically modified.
She makes it sound pretty straightforward, but I think it's more complicated than that.
How so?
Well, genetic modification is a broad term.
Right. It's not just about creating frankenfoods.
Exactly. She talks about things like crossbreeding a plum with an apricot to get a pluout. out.
Right, or buffalo with a cow to make a beefalo.
Those are hybrids, but not necessarily what most people think of when they hear GMO.
So there are different levels of genetic manipulation.
Exactly. And even within GMOs, there's a distinction between transgenic modification, where genes are transferred between different species, and cisgenic modification, where genes within the same species are altered.
So it's a whole spectrum from traditional crossbreeding to more high-tech methods.
That's a good way to put it. And it highlights the importance of critical thinking.
Just because a fruit is seedless doesn't mean it's been created through some radical gene splicing technique.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the importance of choosing organic produce.
Right. Susanna Green points out that organic produce can't be genetically modified.
So if you're concerned about those more complex genetic manipulations, opting for organic can be one way to avoid them.
But let's zoom out a bit. We've been talking about the potential downsides of seedless fruits in terms of our health and the environment. But what about biodiversity?
That's a great point, and Alves actually addresses that in his article.
What does he say?
He argues that this reliance on cloning to propagate seedless fruits is actually reducing genetic diversity.
And that's a problem, right?
It can be, because it makes crops more vulnerable to diseases and pests.
It's like having a whole army of clones if one is susceptible to a certain threat. They all are.
Exactly. It's like monoculture farming, where vast fields are planted with a single crop, making them susceptible to disease outbreaks.
Diversity is key.
Exactly. And Alves suggests that this trend towards seedless fruits could lead to a future where certain varieties of fruits and vegetables disappear altogether.
That would be a culinary tragedy. Imagine a world without seeded watermelons or those juicy grapes that pop when you bite into them.
It's a sobering thought, and it highlights the importance of preserving those heirloom varieties and supporting farmers who are working to maintain genetic diversity.
So it's not just about our individual choices at the grocery store.
Right. It's about our agricultural practices and food systems and how they're impacting the biodiversity of our planet.
It's a lot bigger than just whether or not we like to spit out seeds.
It is, and it's something to think about.
This is really making me think about the power of those tiny seeds. Remember how we started this whole deep dive with that image of a global seed vault?
Yeah, this fortress built to protect the future of plant life.
It's such a powerful symbol. It shows how important seeds are for our planet.
And as Gattal said, they're the book of life for plants.
Containing all the information needed to create new generations.
It's incredible to think about the complexity contained within something so small.
I know, I've definitely been taking seeds for granted all this time. I've been so focused on convenience that I haven't fully appreciated the vital role they play in our food system and the health of our planet.
It's a common oversight. But the more we learn about seeds, the more we realize they're not just something to be discarded or avoided.
They're a source of nourishment resilience and a key to ensuring a vibrant future for food.
Well said.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on something I thought was pretty straightforward.
That's the beauty of exploration. We often begin with simple questions, but the answers can lead us down some fascinating and unexpected paths.
And sometimes those paths lead us to reconsider our choices and the impact we're having on the world around us.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap up, what stands out to you most from all this information about seedless produce?
It really makes you think, like we've gone from how they even make seedless fruit
Right.
to like, could this be bad for us? Could it be bad for the planet?
Yeah, all because we don't like seeds.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, who knew there was so much to think about with seedless produce?
Right. It's like we peeled back the skin of this everyday thing, and there's this whole world of complexity underneath.
Exactly. And I bet a lot of people listening have never even considered any of this.
Probably not, but that's why we do these deep dives, right? To explore these topics in depth.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, let's recap what we've learned today.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah, seedless fruits are definitely convenient.
Super convenient.
But
There's always a but.
Always a but.
So that convenience might come with some trade-offs.
Like what?
Well, they tend to be pricier.
True.
They might not be as nutritious.
Okay.
And all that cloning stuff can lead to problems with genetic diversity.
And then there's the environmental impact.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget about that. Shipping all those fruits around the world.
Especially when they can't be grown locally.
Right. And we still don't have a clear answer on how many of them are actually genetically modified.
And whether or not that should even be a concern.
Exactly. There's a lot to consider.
This has definitely made me think twice about automatically choosing the seedless option.
I think that's a good takeaway. It's not about avoiding seedless fruit altogether, but being more aware and making informed decisions.
Yeah, maybe we could all try to choose seeded varieties, sometimes support local growers, and just think about the bigger picture.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance between convenience and what's best for us and the planet.
And remembering that those tiny seeds are more powerful than we realize.
They really are. They're a source of nutrition, a key to resilience, and a reminder that everything is connected.
I love that. So to leave you with one last thought, if seeds are like a plant's book of life,
As Josh Catalyst put it.
yeah, what happens when we take those books away? Are we missing out on some of nature's wisdom?
That's a great question, and one worth pondering.
It really is. I know I'll be thinking about it. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Of course.
Until next time, happy deep dives, everyone.